Hello, hello, hello again, everybody. This is AltJake. You're listening to AltJake Takes On. We got my buddy George here today. How you doing today, George?
Tremendous, beautiful day outside,
Right?
and I'm here with you.
Weather's getting nice in most places. Little warm where I'm from, but that's fine. We're cool with it. Hopefully everybody got a chance to either tune into the Sunday Spaces, or by the time you're hearing this, has listened to the clips or the whole video that we posted from. We recorded it yesterday, Sunday the 4th, with Kevin Apollo of Toonie Talk Wrestling. That was probably the most engaging conversation we've had so far in the 7 or 8 weeks of Spaces that we've been doing. But just life of an indie promoter, talks about his career as a wrestler, the best match he's had, what he thinks about new talent. It was just thank you again for everybody who listened to our last episode and heard George tell me live on air that we are getting Kevin as a guest, and I got really excited. You all see why now. That was an amazing conversation. Yeah.
The show's like an hour and 20 minutes, and I think Kevin probably has a good hour and 15 of that discussing everything we ask him. So that's awesome.
Yeah, well, I felt like every time we had something to add to what he was saying, like we were very in sync in that conversation, because he was bringing up the how talent needs more repetition, and I was like, you mean like Dominic Mysterio? And he was, yes, Dominic's my and you could just see it was great. Like, that was some of the most fun I've ever had doing it, and we seem to keep it was one of those things too where X will show you the audience, and usually people pop in and pop out a lot of times during it. I feel like we just had people popping in on that one. They were staying as long as they could for that. So that was
people don't like hearing our voice. You're fine, because that's all Kevin.
He's great. No, thanks again, Kevin Apollo. We will definitely have you back sometime soon for sure. But we wanted to get together today because one of the other things that we've seen
before you do that,
yes,
the YouTube channel, if you don't mind, the YouTube
Please.
channel. We're on a strive for 500. If you like what you're hearing on the Spaces, come over and sub. Tell a friend. Help us out. It's not that hard to sub to it. It's pretty good stuff as far as I'm concerned. We're doing our best.
And it doesn't cost you a darn thing. So
we're trying.
We're trying. No, we're having fun with it. Yeah. Like, subscribe, share. I do feel like having guests like Kevin does help, because we've seen an uptick in views and subscriptions in just the 22 hours since we had him on with us. So it's cool to see the growth. I'm not trying to I'm not worried, and we're not trying to be too focused on it, but we do want to see, and we've got some stuff planned once we hit that 500 number. So we're pretty excited for the future for sure. And that's
it's a high number, but it's a conceivable number.
Absolutely.
If people just tell somebody else about it, the old theory, tell somebody and they tell somebody.
Right. Then they'll tell two friends and they'll tell two friends, and that whole thing. And it's I feel like we're building the engagement of what we're trying to get across, that we're trying to be, like Kevin said at the end of the Spaces last night, is you guys were easy to talk to. We try to keep it fun, and even if we don't have to agree on everything, we can disagree and have discussions about it. But it's a place where we're trying to do it in a fun way and not try to be the same negative yelling at each other like most people are in the space. And that's
not to brag, but after every single one of our Spaces, the guests, I've gotten either a DM or a text saying it was very, very cool hanging out with you guys. You guys were awesome. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's not blowing ourselves or nothing. It's just, that's what I'm seeing on my phone. I get the messages and they say thank you.
I feel like it's also too, it's one of the things like actions, they always say actions speak louder than words. Every single guest, we always ask them for an hour, and if they want to stay, they can, but if they don't, so far we're batting 1,000, everybody wants to stay, they're excited to stay, or you don't even realize, like, all of a sudden, hey, it's the hours come up or the hours pass. It's like, really? It has? All right. So
next week we already got Chris Connor, so we're good to go.
You read my mind, my friend. I was just gonna say we'll be there for, I guess it'll be our Mother's Day spectacular. I didn't realize. Yeah. But we'll still be at our regular time, 8:05 p.m. Eastern. I feel like Mother's Day is one of those things that most people do, like lunch or brunch. You do it, you hang out early, especially for it being on a Sunday. So we'll have Chris. we'll talk about whatever topics that are going on in the world. Who knows what'll happen between now and then, but I'm excited to have him on. He's usually popped in and had some really good questions in almost every space, if not every space that we've done. So really appreciate having him come on. And that kind of leads us into why we're meeting here today, to give you guys this extra take on what we've seen. At least what I've noticed is that there's a lot of activity and a lot of views and likes and comments when we review or talk about, maybe I do kind of call them older, but maybe more like classic, historic matches, or his interesting and historic things. Like when we talked about the WrestleMania 9 documentary, there was a lot of people viewed that, and that got a lot of attention. And same with the Bret Hart and Steve Austin match from WrestleMania 13. So we thought, so what we wanted to try to do then is maybe come up with just call it, watch the match of the week, or maybe every, match of the month or something, where we'll do a review of a specific match that we want to talk about, and really kind of get in depth to it and bring that up and get some activity. And if there's any matches that other folks want to see, please put it in the comments. We've already had a few suggestions. I've written them down. I've got a few ideas as well for us. And we're going to kind of go back and forth, where I'll pick the one for this one and George will pick the next one. And we'll have a little homework assignment. We go back and watch it. I've watched this match twice. The match that I've even watched the match before it, because what we're doing today, I'll put up the full match card.
Give me.
WrestleMania 26. We're going to do the main event, even though it's in the top right corner there. Yes.
Sunday, March 28th, 2010, at the University of Phoenix in Glendale, Arizona, before a crowd of 72,219. It's the streak versus the career match. And amongst those 72,219 is
AltJake. This is the only WrestleMania I've ever been to. I am from Phoenix, Arizona. Actually, at the time, nowadays I live probably about 35 minutes away from the stadium where the Arizona Cardinals play. I think it's now called State Farm something, but yeah, it was University of Phoenix Stadium. At the time, though, I only lived about 10 minutes away from it. It was awesome. It was like WrestleMania came, and that wasn't like in your house, but it was in my backyard. It was fantastic. My buddy and I spent a good amount of money to get decent seats, but I mean, we weren't like ringside, but we were in the section probably like right behind that. Wow. And I think we paid, it was either 500 or 700 per ticket, but we were right there up front. I mean, those tickets for that year's Mania would have been, 2, 3, 5,000 for sure. Like we went all out, because this was WrestleMania comes to your town, and then as we had our tickets well in advance, and as the story starts progressing, I find out that a little bit about me. My personal all-time favorite wrestler is The Undertaker. So I was in heaven, and then I probably would say that Shawn Michaels is the best in-ring performer I've ever seen. So that's why this one is my personal favorite match, because I was there. It's a fantastic match. I know WrestleMania 25 kind of gets all of the praise and all of the hype, and it was just rated by WWE as the best WrestleMania match of all time. And we can get into why that was. I probably feel more of like it was unexpected and you weren't really ready for it. This one, there was more expectations. There's a couple of other reasons I think why it was, but yeah, we're going to cover that here today, and I'm super excited. This is, if you gun to your head, had to make a decision, this would be my all-time favorite wrestling match probably ever.
For me, it's up there. I watched it twice already, and it's up there. I'd probably put it in the top 7.
Yeah, I mean, hey,
I have a bigger pool to pull from, so
that's true. And it's also something of, being in, when you're there in person, it takes, because I actually listened to a recent podcast the other day. Shout out to the Working Stiff guys, comedians talking wrestling. One of them went to WrestleMania, and when the two guys were talking about afterwards, the guy who was at home had a lot more complaints. And the guys there's like, when you're there and in person, you give a lot more leeway. You become part of it. Well, unless you're trying to be one of those jerky fans who takes over the show, but it's good that it's not like I'm rooting. My favorite match is not like something that was, well, I wouldn't put that in my top 50. So no, it was a fun match. It was good. If everybody remembers the storyline, we'll take it back a little bit. It was they wrestled at WrestleMania 25, and if you know the story, they were supposed to get 10-15 minutes, and they fought to get, and there were going to be like third match on the card, and they got to not the next to last, but the next to last match, I think, at 25, and went way longer than they were supposed to. And it ended up being match of the year, and that is what everybody thinks of when they think of Undertaker and Shawn Michaels. But they then built to this match over the year. I don't think they really did anything until I think it started at the Slammies that year when they won match of the year, and Shawn started saying, you know, I could beat you. I want one more match. But Undertaker at the time had the title and wasn't going to wrestle him. And Shawn he came through the bottom of the Elimination Chamber, and Sweet Chin Music Taker during the end of the Elimination Chamber the year at No Way Out before, and cost Undertaker the title. And so
I don't remember, Jake. How did he end up putting his career on the line?
That's so.
I don't.
What happens is he challenges Undertaker a couple of times, and he's just like, "No, I'm not going to do it." And eventually, when he pushes it, when he accepts it, it's funny. When I went to turn on. I was going to watch WWE Greatest Moments last night after we had our spaces with Kevin, turned it on, and I don't know if A&E's wires were crossed, but it was an episode of WWE Rivals, which I wasn't going to watch until I realized it was Shawn and Undertaker. And they talk about this match, and they show the dates, and it was, so you said this match was March 28th? I think it was like February 22nd, 23rd, whatever the Raw was of that week is when Undertaker finally accepted it. But he says, yes, but on one condition: if I win, your career's over. Because and then if you go into the Rivals episode, it's because that Shawn knew he wanted to retire, and he said to his wife, apparently after driving home, because they were in Texas, so he drove home from WrestleMania 25, and he looked at her like, should I have ended it there? Should that be the end? So he kind of knew how he wanted to end it, and they worked it perfectly into the story. I don't remember when they fully announced that it was going to close the show, though, because there were two. If you go back to here really quick, we can pull this back up. You know,
and for background information for people, Jake and I both considered as Shawn Michaels as a retirement match. So
yes, in the AltJakeTakeSon world, the Saudi match, that was before Saudi was canon. That didn't happen. Saudi didn't become canon until the last 2-3 years. You know, that
don't count.
Yeah, please. But if you look at this, the match card, there were two title matches. You had Edge versus Jericho, which is funny now thinking of where they are in their careers, and then John Cena versus Batista, the two movie stars. That's also. But there were two title matches that happened before this. So I don't remember when that decision was made, but I'm sure that's probably because as knowing I was going to it when they made that announcement, I probably just, exploded with excitement, kind of like I did when you told me Kevin was going to be on the show with us.
That's Undertaker going to Vince, telling him we're doing it.
Yeah, and especially I think when you knew that it was going to be Shawn's last match, you had to. Because you just had. We're just kind of go through some of the great shots of the match. They pulled out all the stops, and they had the time. It was one of those things that I get. They can go longer no matter what they want to do, but when they're ending the show and Charles Robinson's the referee, it was the perfect setup for them.
The beginning, like you had the shot early, the beginning sets the tone because he does the slit across the throat first and gets Undertaker pissed.
Yeah, and they get right into it.
Yeah, then they kind of bop into it, and then what ends up happening, from what I remember just from watching it 2 minutes ago, Undertaker goes for his old school routine, and his knee gives out.
Right.
So Shawn has a point of attack through that whole match.
And they tell that story the entire time of him trying to chop down the tree. No, the only thing I was going to say before that was I noticed that, right after Shawn comes out during the entrance, they kind of the announcers just shut up and let them both enter. They interject a little bit, but it's not. I feel like that was one of the things that people didn't like about Michael Cole's commentary, which was Vince yelling in his ear to, say this, say that, say this. But they knew for this one just keep their mouth shut and go.
Speaking of commentary.
Yeah, that's where I was leading into.
What
you knew it.
What kind of off-putting for me was hearing Stryker. Stryker's not
he's
very
terrible.
good for me. Not very good for me in this.
He's better now. When I used to see him
it's not part of the it's not part of the match, but it definitely took away from a little bit of it because he's trying real hard.
It does, and I honestly feel that that's one of the big reasons why 25 is looked at so much fonder is because you replace Stryker with JR. It's Michael Cole, Jerry the King Lawler, and JR. And it's like, it's just much, much better. And for me, and again, that's probably why it's my favorite match, because the first time I was there in person, so I didn't have to listen to the commentary.
Yeah, that's rough.
It is. No, it's bad. And now listening to it with modern ears, I mean, you hear a lot of Excalibur in what Striker's trying to do. I was in this hold. I've been in this move. And he tries to use, I mean, I know it was his character that he was a teacher, and his gimmick was that he trying to, I don't want to say use like big words, but he was trying to use it.
Since you watched the whole show, was he there the whole show in commentary?
They did. I didn't watch the whole show. I kind of went back and forth with their matches, but I think it was just the three of them. Or was this back when it was SmackDown and Raw, and they went back and forth? But I don't think so. I think they just went with this.
I just watched this match, so I don't know about the rest of it.
I didn't watch here. So I watched the Cody. I watched the Legacy match. I tried to watch the Vince and Bret Hart match, and I couldn't. I just skipped through. I watched all of the video packages. Is really what I watched to kind of remember what the storylines were and how things gone. And it is funny to see a lot of how the old Kevin Dunn affected the jump cuts and the similar music. And we're in a much better world now, even though that there was some great stuff from our youths, but yeah, we're in a much better place now with Lee Fitting and the team that they have. Other things that kind of, that the match flowed really well, that you kind of led into it, of where because of the knee injury from Undertaker, they were able to really tell the story of Shawn Michaels just keep attacking. He puts him in the figure four at one point. He puts him in the ankle lock. He's really
the best part about that was when Shawn realized his knee was hurt, and you could see the facial expression on his eyes, like his knee's fucked. They really. So, and I mean, he does try to pull out all the stops. I mean, there's I don't know if he hits his first Sweet Chin Music attempt. I think it's the second one, but they're trying to go for things early. I mean, there's there's the tombstone on the outside that Undertaker hits on Michaels. Like, they really, this match at not the whole time, but at certain points it did seem like they were themselves from 1997. Until it was a no DQ match. They were able to go outside and do all that. But it was pretty,
and really still get their, be able to sell and lay there for a bit. And that's the other thing too, is that I felt like Undertaker sold a lot more in this match than you saw him. I mean, I know he didn't sell a lot or whatever, but as he got older, he did sell a decent amount, but he sells a lot, especially, I mean, we can just might as well get right into it. Of this part, the moonsault that Shawn, we'll say hits, because he does hit, and he hits Taker in the legs, but the way and I mean, he misses, but Taker did have the leg issue, so he hits him,
Undertaker kind of moves his body to catch him in a way with his legs, which I noticed right off the bat. But I particularly like this spot because after Shawn hits it, I think I told you beforehand, Shawn hits it and comes up in like a stupor swinging, and he just falls over. And Taker's in the corner, and Jerry Lawler's going, "Oh, he's broke his leg." Undertaker's eyes, he broke his leg.
Yeah, he at one point he was like, his leg is snapped. He snapped it. It's like, when King wasn't Goofy King, he was a great color commentary. I feel like sometimes people forget that. That he really was very, very good at getting over what Vince wanted him to get over.
Goofy King was there because goofy shit was going on.
Right, exactly. And that's, right. You're calling what's in front of you, or as they say, what's on the monitor. They always, you call what you can see, what's on the monitor. I also think, going back to what I was saying earlier about how the match, people had expectations. Right when they're going into the start, Cole even says this is the most anticipated match in WrestleMania history. So they had a lot to live up to, but it was, I mean, it really is an incredible, incredible match. It really is.
After this, they get in for the finish, right?
Yeah, which I was going to just put into, I was going to pull this up and they should come up clear. Yeah, that's about the clearest picture I can get of the jumping tombstone.
But the reason he did it, Undertaker pulls his straps down, gets ready to do it, stops, looks at Shawn, tells him to stay down twice.
Yeah.
Shawn doesn't stay down, comes up, gives him the throat slash, slaps him across the face.
The slap.
And then delivers a final.
Well, yeah. And that what was cool was that at 25, it was more of the reversal into it, where Shawn tried to do the moonsault, Taker catches him and does the tombstone there. So that's why it was more like an even shot. As for this one, yeah, it is the end, because he does kick out of a tombstone earlier in the match, and it's a good flush tombstone. Taker covers quickly. He does kick out of it, but this one, like, yeah, the throat slash, you even see Taker make that face, kind of like back to the Jeff Hardy face with the ladder of just like, huh? But then the slap, that face turns from huh to you mother.
Yeah, because Undertaker actually shows some passion for him, tell him to stay down.
Yeah.
You know? So you get
he tells it, yeah, you're right. He tells it to him. He tried. You're right. He tries, but then you get this amazing tombstone pile driver that he leaps and knocks, and it was just the perfect way for Shawn to go. Like Cole even says it, defiant till the end. You know, they really do. So, and then Taker takes his time to get up, and they're both beaten, and then they have the great handshake at the end, and then Taker leaves the ring so that Shawn can give his goodbyes, which that I do remember being there. And I went to Raw the next night where they where Shawn gave his like little retirement speech and stuff. And that was the last time we saw Shawn Michaels in a ring. he's been at NXT ever since. That's how my brain works.
That was awesome. I mean, like I said, I watched it twice.
Yeah.
So I went with 3.25 on my rating. It was pretty close to a 4 for me, but I didn't quite make it.
Yeah, yeah. So, and for me, obviously, I'm going a full 4. I mean, I'm not going to pull a Dave and say we go over, but it's an never-ending scale, 4 3/4. But I mean, it's my favorite match of all time, and watching it again really solidified it. Just the match, the commentary, I do wish was JR and not Matt Stryker, but the world's the world. It's what we got. But this match was amazing. Being there live, it was something. You knew it was going to be something special either way. I mean, it's kind of like back when, was it 2016, when it was like the Cubs and the Indians in the World Series? Like, somebody is going to break something. Like, something different's happening this year. You know, either Shawn Michaels was going to retire or Undertaker's streak was going to be broken. And then that leads, it really is a 4-year story of WrestleMania 25 and 26 with Shawn Michaels, and then 27 and 28 with Triple H. I mean, those really are one real continuous story told through WrestleMania. So it's just amazing. I was really happy that this was because it was a little bit behind the scenes. It was George who noticed that we were getting a lot of views on the reviews of classic wrestling, and so it was his idea to do it. And it took me a while to come up with some other matches from my next turns, but this one I was immediately like, that one. We're watching this one first. It's my favorite. And watching it again and again, it really does solidify that. Yep, Shawn went out on a high note as best he could.